way, we can go right ahead and talk about this Cavs game. Well, the Celtics game, Cavs game, whatever you want to call it. And the Cavs, they ended up surprising me by blowing out the Celtics 118-94. If you guys watched the last podcast that I did, then you guys would remember that I said that I don't see the Cavs winning in Boston, and I don't see the Boston Celtics losing to this Cavs team, and yet here we are. It's like every single time that I say that a team won't lose, every single time that I think a team is going to win, they end up letting me down. And every single time, like, I don't know what it is. I really don't know why it is that way. I really don't. Because, like, this has happened, like, at least for me, it's happened so many times. And I'm a false prophet at this point. So if you guys want to place your bets, honestly, just pick the team that I don't pick at this rate, because it seems like I've just been completely wrong every single time. But to be fair, nobody really expected a huge blowout win like this on the Celtics. Like, I'm not saying that this Cavs team is bad to where, like, they can't beat the Celtics, but to blow them out like this at home in a playoff game, it was very, very shocking nonetheless. And the team played a lot better than they did previously. Up until garbage time, the Cavs were shooting around like 50% from three as a team. And this was the exact same story from the last series. This was the exact same story. The Miami Heat, when they were going up against the Boston Celtics in the previous round, the Celtics, they won game 1, and then they went into game 2. I think they go into, like, home games thinking immediately that they're going to win, like, without a doubt that they're going to win. And it's like, I feel like they ease up a little bit. That's sort of what it feels like with this team. And they eased up, and once Game 2 happened, the Miami Heat shot a historic percentage from 3, and the entire team shot over 50% from 3. And, I mean, they didn't end up winning the series because that was just, like, the one good game that they had and the one good game that they needed. But it was shocking nonetheless. And the same story is happening in this series. The Cavs, the Celtics, they're going into Game 2 thinking that they're the top, thinking that they're the best, thinking that no one can compete with them, and then all of a sudden the Cavs shoot 50% from 3, and it's these same historic performances and super efficient shooting that causes them to lose. And if it takes this much shooting, like this efficient shooting, just to beat them, then, I mean, they are really a very difficult team to beat, because the losses that they've had, the team had to shoot a historic percent from the 3-point line, and that's not always going to happen. Now, the Celtics, their team, they've proven that they live and they die by the 3, and tonight, the 3-pointer for them just wasn't falling. They shot 8 for 35 from 3, and just looking at the box scores of this game, Tatum had 25 points, 7 of 17. Jaylen Brown had 19 points, 7 of 17. Picard had 13 points, 6 for 10. Derek White was 3 for 11 from the field. And Drew Holiday only had 4 points in this game. I don't understand what's wrong with him in the postseason, but he underperforms dramatically in these postseasons. And this isn't the first time that he's done this, obviously. It happens all the time. And I'm just looking at the box scores still. For the Cavs side, on the box scores, Donovan Mitchell ended the game with 29, 8, and 7 and shot 10 for 19 from the field. Karis LeVert had 21 points, 9 for 17 from the field. Evan Mobley, 21 points, 9 for 15 from the field, and also 10 rebounds coming in from Evan Mobley. Darius Garland, 5 of 8 from the field for 14 points. Okaro, 5 for 6 from the field, 12 points. Max Strus, 5 of 10 from the field, 12 points. Everybody, like I said, everybody shot very, very efficiently in this game. On top of that, they also were able to hit more three-pointers than the Boston Celtics, which ultimately gave them the fighting chance that they needed to come out and win in this game. And, again, this is sort of the same story that we see every single time, like, with this team. And it seems that the Celtics, they get overconfident in themselves, and they underestimate the other team sometimes. And I'm not entirely sure if that's true, but this is it's what I see, because Jaylen Brown earlier, there's a quote, he said it's going to be difficult for a team to win 4 games against us, and that's just adding fuel to the fire for other teams to try and beat you, and also adding more pressure on yourself. It's never ever good to talk highly about your team in the postseason. Never good whatsoever, because that gives the other team some motivation into trying to actually perform better against you, and it puts a target on your back, and that's something that you don't want to do in the postseason when you're already under so much pressure to perform. You're just adding more pressure on yourself. And whenever NBA players, whenever they take things personally and whenever they get angry, there's much more of a chance that they'll go off and prove you wrong, as opposed to just taking it, if that makes sense. Because, again, you're just putting a target on your back by saying that. And Jaylen Brown, he always opens his mouth with this team, and he's ridiculously overconfident, and I don't understand why. In an interview, he said that by the time he turned, in 5 years from the age that he would end up having 5 championships. And guess how many championships he has? 0. He overestimates himself, and his overconfidence is ultimately the downfall of this team. So I did have some notes for this game, and Evan Mobley, he opened up with probably one of the best quarters of his entire playoff career. So the next move was to bench him for some reason, and Donovan Mitchell at the same time, and put Marcus Morris at center. I don't understand what the Cavs were doing, but regardless, it worked. But that was crazy. He opened up the first quarter, and then they decided to take him out. And I'm like, why would you take him out? He was balling. Why would you? What is wrong with you? And it's little mistakes like this that could have costed the Cavs the win. But, lucky for them, the Celtics, they ended up blowing this game. This was more of a Celtics choke rather than a Cavs win. Because I'm sorry, but whenever you shoot that well from 3 in a playoff game, it could be considered a little bit fluky, because again, you're not going to shoot like that every single time down the stretch. And again, it could be considered fluky with depending on what perspective you look at. But we have to see how the playoffs go along to sort of determine whether or not if it was fluky. If the Celtics win in 5 now, then that game was 100% fluky. But if the Celtics don't win in 5, then you can't really say that game was fluky. Next note is, so the second half was completely different. Bricker's staff completely adjusted and staggered the Mitchell/Mobley minutes, and it worked. He also put Tristan Thompson at center instead of Morris. Mitchell and Mobley's minutes, they were both dominant, and the team, as I said before, they shot 50% from 3, and it's understandable it's unsustainable for Cleveland. But I wouldn't really expect Boston to have that many turnovers, and I wouldn't expect Boston to shoot this badly from the 3 either in every single game. And let's see. So this might be the first time in the postseason that there were 6 Cavs players that had really good, outstanding performances offensively. Because if you remember the previous few years that the Cavs have been in the playoffs, it's always been LeBron. Like, LeBron or Kyrie or Kevin Love would fill up the box, would have the outstanding performances. It wouldn't be like a big team effort, more so than it would be a LeBron effort. And because of that, there weren't that many players on the team that were really playing up to par offensively compared to LeBron James in those series, like in those past series before when the Cavs were in the playoffs with LeBron James. And obviously, like, you know, the biggest difference, like the big differentiating factor of this game was the 3-point percentage difference between the Celtics and the Cavs. Because, like, again, like I said, not the first time that they lost to a team after they shot 50% from the field, well, from the three, and had a very, very good performance. So that's basically what it's been like for the Celtics. So now they're gonna have to go into game 3 and 4 in Cleveland, adding more pressure onto them and just and giving Cleveland more advantages to sort of go up in the series and more chances to go up in the series. And it, again, like, this Celtics team, it's like they're very arrogant and I don't understand like how they do this to themselves every single time. It was like watching Dallas in the postseason. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong for this team. But that's basically all I have for this segment, and with that, we are out of time. So now I will go ahead and go into the second segment, where I talk about Shannon and Shaq's beef, because they exchanged quotes with each other. Shaq commented something huge on IG in response to Shannon and his comments, but I'll basically explain that in the second segment, so be sure to stay tuned after this short break.